Does anyone else get weird load times with Obsidian games? I'm curious, because this game and Pillars of Eternity both seem to have, like, on PC loading times that I would associate with, like, Witcher 3 on a console, as opposed to anything on PC, really. It's a surprise. Anyway, a loading screen told me something that might be useful. Let's try that out. So, if I select one character and pause, we hold Shift. Not necessarily. If I do Titan's Touch on myself, well, how will that work out? So he runs to that location, then over there. Oh, so it was doing all the commands, they just weren't showing up on the screen. There we go. So if you hold Shift, you can queue up a series of commands, and judging by how many times he just moved, that was actually a surprisingly long queue of commands. So that's cool. If at the beginning of the fight I have like a buff and an attack I want to do, I could queue them all up in order and then not have to pause over and over again for that kind of stuff. That's cool. Thank you, loading screen, for teaching me something. And this is our disfavored camp. Can we come in, please? Well, look at you. Our gatecrasher from the court is still in one piece. The guard pounds his chest plate in salute. Welcome to disfavored camp. Always happy to have an honored ally pay us a visit. This is our gatecrasher from the court is referencing what we did before. The Gates of Judgment is the name of the gates of the mountain pass separating the tiers from the Northern Empire. Treacherous scree slopes and deadly rock slides create a nigh impassable barrier responsible for centuries of peace between two regions. But Kryos' army began the conquest of Tiers by smashing through the Gates of Judgment, and as young Fatebringer, as a young Fatebinder tasked with seeing war, you were part of the first glorious assault. Having joined the disfavored phalanx, you fought alongside the mountain slopes, proving your worth alongside the iron-clad soldiers. Though you are not considered a member of the Insular Legion, those who fought with you fondly consider you one of the Gatecrashers, a veteran that can boast having seen the war from day one. That's neat. It's good to reinforce these kinds of things that make up our character too. So we're known as being a big frontline warrior who then turned on to govern an entire region that's important to this favorite. So we're really ingratiated with them at this point. So naturally, my first party member is a Scarlet character. I kind of wonder if that's intentional, like if they give you the opposite faction's character immediately, or if it's just always her. I would suspect that maybe it's just always her. Let's see. Welcome to this favorite camp. We're always happy to see have an honored ally pay us a visit. I can salute. I can salute and say their mantra, which is probably a little too much loyalty to show to a side faction when I'm supposed to be neutral here. I'm sorry, but with the helmet it's hard to tell a face. No reason for you to remember me. I was 2 files over, 1 rank behind. The Longbeards in the Legion were so mad at having to, in their words, babysit Tunon's novice. But you fought well. Not as well as us, but certainly better than those dumb pukes from the chorus. Go on in. The soldier gestures towards the gate. The Archons are expecting you. You'll find them in the war tent, center of the camp. Alright. They like us. But I'm not going to be too familiar. It's a little weird to do that unless I do actually become sort of major group of their party. Rona, Pentabor, Beric, Sterling. Oh, there's Sterling in prison. That didn't work out for you, did it? Fresh straw in the corner of this prison cell absorbs much of the stench. Gross. It's all your fault, you Kryos dog. Kairos dog. I keep saying Kryos. Well, you shouldn't have stolen. I am a Fatebinder. Isotanus curses the air as a blade of thin iron breaks in half beneath his hammer. Repairing weapons with scrap isn't exactly why I got into this craft, but our supplies are spent. He wipes the sweat from his brow and gets a better look at you. The fact that they're having to repair stuff with scrap further reinforces how much of a problem it was that our supplies were being stolen. Why not forge bronze? Bronze will do in a pinch, don't get me wrong. It can take a beating and get bent back into shape, unlike the stubborn iron we have here. He glances at the pile of his work with dread. but we always have plenty of tin and copper lying around, so supplies aren't the problem. It's a rare smith who can churn out military-grade bronze consistently. More often than not, it comes out soft. Look around camp. We're garbing the Legion head to toe in iron because it's cheaper and easier to produce for the masses. Couldn't do that with bronze. They call the disfavored the Iron Legion for a reason. Strategy and skill may be our backbone, but our claws are made of iron. The good stuff that comes from the smiths in Lethian's Crossing. You mentioned an iron shortage? I'm afraid so. The last shipment sent down the Matani went missing near Echo Call Crossing, and I'm afraid we won't be seeing any more now that the valley is sealed. Forge-bound iron is Tunan's responsibility. Why is this the first I'm hearing of it? Keep your voice down. Isotanus flinches and lowers his own. Graven Ashe doesn't want to cause a panic or pass any information to the Vendrian Guard. Best case scenario, the iron tumbled off a boat and is rusting on a riverbed. Worst case, it ends up in enemy hands. If I find myself in Echo Call, I suppose I can keep an eye out. I appreciate that, as does the Great General, more than you might guess. Maybe he isn't quick to offer his thanks to others, to outsiders, but I know he'll be grateful for your help. It would be a boon to the war effort if our iron was recovered. You can trust me to handle this. Yay, we gained favor with the disfavored, which is a funny sentence. I knew that Tunan wouldn't have dispatched you without good reason. The court isn't exactly known for gambling when stakes are high. He glances to a crate beside him and points to a small set of notches on the wood. You see that? That's how we tell apart our iron shipments from the rest. Inconspicuous, so people don't go snooping around. You want to keep your eye out for these. Good hunting. Good hunting indeed. We will see if that pans out. I'm sure it will sooner or later. So does everyone here get a name? Isotanus, not everyone. Just a lot of people near the front gate, apparently. All have names. We have Barrick, Pentabor, Rona. Can I talk to Barrick? You can't make out the Ironclad soldier's expression of the twisted helmet. He merely stares at you. Didn't notice at first that was not in quotes. I thought he was just complaining that you can't see people past people's masks, but that was all emote. Pentabor. Hail to you, guardian of the law. The man dressed in merchant finery greets you with a smile. If you have a few excess rings weighing you down, best unburden yourself before battle. You know that if the disfavored suffer a merchant in their camp, that must be a man selling only the finest provisions and armaments. He points to his collection of shields, rations, satchels, wineskins, and other sundries. Take a look to see if something interests you. So you can look at his wares, do a whole bunch of different intros for different starts, or I can go for Lawbreaker, which is... Might I take a closer look at one of these crates? Standard inspection procedure. Oh, you can go into thievery. And you can ask him questions. Let's go ahead and do that. How did you come to work with the disfavored? Hard work and good suppliers. When Tunan's men came to my village, all the merchants were given different lists of what they were or weren't permitted to trade. He smiles, hands on hips. In Kairos' wisdom, my record must have been a good one because I was given the right to trade in all manner of goods, most importantly arms. Not a lot of merchants can legally sell weapons. It was like that even before Kairos. I've got to do this, right? I've got to. Let's take a look around. Might I take a closer look into one of these crates? Standard inspection procedure. He hesitates, then corrects with a welcoming smile. Of course, by all means. I have nothing to hide. He makes a show of removing a crate's lid and showing off his wares with an open palm. His supplies are all perfectly ordinary. You see nothing out of place or unauthorized by his mercantile license. I can try to steal something, but I have a subterfuge of 20. I don't really have that much evidence in there. Let's see. Oh, let's just press him. Let's just do it. So this is a lie, because I'm just imagining a problem. Smells like petal grass in here. Have you been selling something you shouldn't? His eyes go wide. Petal grass? But this is absurd. I never touched the stuff. He cuts off his speech and frowns. Oh, I recognize this for what it is, though I admit I assumed things were more orderly in the military. He sighs. You won't find any contraband here. Of that I can assure you. And I've traveled in the company of the vaunted Iron Legion for enough of this conflict that my honesty can be vouchsafed and defended. Whoa. Multiple lore and subterfuge things hiding in there. I wonder. Let's see. Fair enough. You can go about your business. I was just screwing with them, basically. I wanted to see what direction that was going to go in. I do kind of want to hide some of these just because the sheer amount of screen taken up by options I don't have is getting a little much now. Pentable rubs his hands, eyes alight. Let's see if we can find something you like. I will say that just the fact that I'm seeing that stuff, though, is rather encouraging, because it does remind me of the fact that this is the company that made Fallout New Vegas, which is the Fallout that was the reason I wasn't really happy with Fallout 4, because Fallout 4's NPC interactions were just 4 variations of basically saying yes, or one that would say no, but was actually a temporary pause away from saying yes, and if you came back, you could then say yes. And the dialogue basically was practically non-existent, aside from like 4 really vital decisions that would happen across the game. But every person I've talked to so far has all these weird optional things that are based on what type of character you made, and that is fantastic, because your character should matter. It's not about min-maxing and getting the character that can magically do everything. It's about just having a bunch of options in the first place, and having things that are limited from your character, so that the fact that you made your character a lawbreaker, for example, has an impact on stuff, as opposed to other things. It's even disappointing when a game is just like charisma stat, and charisma stat magically lets you deal with old bad problems, and that's it. Like, oh yeah, I have charisma, so I can just talk my through every conversation. It's like, no, the really specific expertise is nice. These are all bronze though, so I'm not interested right now. Like, that's a thing that like, I love Mass Effect, but I don't really like the charm and intimidate stat, because I don't like how it's basically like there's just an obligatory put your points in here if you want to be good at conversations for the whole game, period, and then you win the game. You basically win the game at that point. I prefer the approach of Shadowrun, where it's like, oh, you have an expertise with this particular field. Well, now here's dialogue for that particular field. Yay! This character's name is Bitter Quip. Glory to the voices of Nerat. Projecting a salutation for all to hear, the grinning blood chanter raps his staff against the ground as you approach. Fatebinder Guy Lovebridge, I presume. His smile quickly retreats, giving way to a sour scowl. I am Bitter Quip. I am here as the emissary of the Scarlet Chorus. Bitter Quip looks at you impatiently. What can you tell me of the Scarlet Chorus? The chorus is the future of the Tears. I feel only derision and pity for those who fear our inevitable ascension. Bitter Quip looks at you with a raised eyebrow. What in particular would like to know? Let's see. What is your role in the chorus? I don't need the general information quite as much. I'm a blood chanter. My magic can turn the will of man and the tide of battle. I have held command for 3 years now, though being forced to keep an eye on the disfavored is not the reward I envisioned for my service thus far. Sounds like you really like the voices of Nerat. Bitter Quip blinks several times and scowls, saying nothing. That is a stupid question. Sounds like you like your leader a lot, crazy nightmare fanatic faction. Lucia and Marcus. Who are these people up here? I am Lucia. This is Marcus. The disfavored soldiers points to the armored man next to her. Okay, I'm not crazy. That is a typo. Okay. Yeah, the text refers to her as multiple soldiers, even though she's pointing to another soldier that's separate from her. So the disfavored soldier points to the armored man next to her. And you must be the Fatebinder. From under her helmet, you hear an audible scoff. We've been assigned to babysit. Assigned to your hospitality, Marcus quickly interjects, while you remain on disfavored ground. If you should need a place to rest, we can make the necessary preparations. Do they have individual reacts to me? No, it's just their full faction. They don't have an individual reputation with me. Let's see. So you get stuff for being a soldier, a pit fighter, or a hunter in this case. So I can ask about each of them individually. So these are my bodyguards around here, basically, or the people who tend to my quarters, or maybe I could even tell them to do things. Oh, and you can get training with them. Interesting. Let's see. How have your skills fared in the battle against the Oathbreakers, Marcus? Why am I only asking Marcus? Insufficient reputation. Wait, is this all a ruse? Did 2 months send you to test the army's training and grit? Because I won't stand for it. That was... Will you calm the fuck down, you tangled fishnet of nerves? This is after how many head wounds you took last week? Stop looking for enemies behind every shadow. I guarantee you'll be disappointed. That was a severe reaction. Lucia, tell me about yourself. I do this. She unenthusiastically lifts up her heavy shield. And I do this. She mockingly stabs at the air with her spear. Lucia shrugs. Playing host is not my strong suit. Tell me about yourself, and it's like, I stab and shield, the end. Ignore my sarcasm. I've seen the Legion through my share of the campaign. After some bloodshed, our pretenses of honor can wear me down. She turns a cautious eye your way. The North is my home, and I consider each and every one of the ironclad bastards in this camp to be my family. You won't find another army where each member of the Phalanx is as beloved and cherished as the next. The Phalanx. I can only think of the Demon Souls boss, even though obviously that's not where it's from, even slightly, because that itself was a reference to this exact type of combat style. Marcus, tell me about yourself. There's not much I can tell you. I trained at Fort Resolution. These names. These names are amazing. Fort Resolution, Fort Conquest, Fort Stalwart. I made one of those up, but unless you had been paying close attention, you wouldn't be able to tell which one. This is my first campaign, and I'm proud to be with the Legion. I was wounded at the Gates of Judgment, but Graven Ashe's protection mended me good. I owe my life to him. Are you bragging that you let your guard down and took a spear to the gut? You really shouldn't boast about a filthy tearsman besting you in battle. Lucia rolls her eyes. You're just bitter that Lord Ashe never seems to notice you. In all seriousness, I would take that spear again if it brought honor to the disfavored. Kairos knows we could use it. We are the elite fighters of the Northern Army, but somehow we still lack the Overlord's confidence. He shakes his head and sighs. Maybe it's because the Overlord has the forethought to notice that both you guys and the Scarlet faction are rather incomplete. They're such polar opposites, but not in a way that complements each other, and each of them individually is just kind of deeply flawed in different ways that neither of them are aware of. You seem handy with the weapon, Lucia. Insufficient reputation. I know a thing or two about spitting foes who are enough to challenge me. What of it? Easy, Lucia. We don't punish curiosity here. That's a weird thing for you to say, considering what happened just a second ago in the dialogue. Why did each of them chastise the other one, but they both act that way when I ask them questions? No need to fly off the handle on the basis of a simple reflection. They train us well, Fatebinder. The Archon makes sure that our potential is realized before we reach battle, so most of us keep a cool head when we see any action. He looks at Lucia with a frown. Most of us, I said. That is weird how both of them were the hot-headed and the cool-headed person in the same conversation. That almost feels like an accident. What's it like serving the disfavored? In spite of our name, the Legion commands more honor than any military in the face of Terratus. Unlike the chorus, there is a tradition, discipline, teamwork, and unity of purpose. Marcus looks out across the camp. There aren't many of us, but it's better that way. We're a tightly knit family bound together by trust and glory. Accurate enough, Lucia says. After seeing the disunity and bickering of the younger realm defenders, I feel lucky to be in the most agreeable legion of Kairos' host. Even if we're not always the most efficient. If the Legion boasts so much honor, why are you the disfavored? Insufficient reputation. I'm afraid that isn't for me to say. Others around camp might be able to tell you more, but I don't freely discuss the great general's histories to outsiders. But you'll say that it involves the great general, which is already telling a clue, idiot. These are just two people that constantly facepalm at each other and just rip each other endlessly. Drat. At least the Iron Marshal isn't within earshot, or I'd be washing my mouth out with wormwood. I don't want to know what that is. Or is wormwood what they make the spears with? Talking about stab? Wait, does he... Oh, sorry. I briefly thought he didn't have an arm, but he's holding his head. This face palm, and then like, oh my god, what have I done? Like, back at the neck scratch. I'm surprised how much they emote with their little 3D models. It's probably why they're using 3D models instead of drawings for this, which is not a bad idea. Let's see what happens when I click on training. Lucia, I could use some training. Finally! Some fun to break up the monotony of this siege. So do we just fight? Oh, nope, she trains you. Skill training. It costs you money. You can train up thrown weapons by that much. Oh, it also levels us up individually, on top of leveling up our individual stats. So she trains in thrown weapons, dodge, and athletics. Well, if it isn't the Fatebinder, what can we do for you, Marcus? Of course, Fatebinder. Fatebinder. I'm gonna mess this up so many different ways over the course of this playthrough. Fatebinder. Marcus pounds his fist on the armor and salute. He trains one-handed weapons, two-handed weapons, and parry. Not a lot of price for parry either. So does it max out the current? I do wonder if it maxes out the current slot or not. Oh, it says out of 45. So if you hit 45, do you lose your ability to level up a stat anymore? What is my highest stat? Let's see, my highest stat right now is 42 for thrown weapons. It seems to indicate that 45 might be the max or something. Anyway, we can keep this in mind for later. So now we learned a little bit about skill training. Let's still check in on the Archons. Hidden objects. That? You've discovered a hidden object. In many areas of Terratus have hidden objects or chests, which will be discovered. When discovered, these objects will highlight for all your party to see. Enable scouting mode by pressing L. Alt to find... Oh, left Alt to find objects easier. And I also have it set up so that the game will automatically pause when that happens.
I'd say that's worth a second glance.
So we both just gained subterfuge for discovering that. So that's just going to be an ongoing thing, huh? As I'm just going to just gain stats like that. It really is like the Oblivion system that I'm used to from that. There's a gate, topaz, and a bronze throwing dagger. Alright, we'll just stash these for now. I should consider selling off some of the loot I'm getting also, the gems, to help with that. Alright, Archons. Here we are. Yesterday you chided me for wishing to wait, now you suggest an even longer delay. Perhaps the voices in your skull ought to come to a consensus if you wish to be taken seriously. Good advice is flexible, changing with the moment. Besides, now we're agreeing with yesterday but we know you hate going into battle without... Wait, isn't this all showing up down here? Oh, there we go. Now we're agreeing with yesterday, today, you should be happy. We know you hate going into battle without overwhelming odds to your side. Oh my god, scrolling. Fine. Why do it this way ever? I gotta ask. It happens in this game, it happens in a few other games I play. Like, why randomly change to the dialogue system completely when you've done it elsewhere before? At least if you're supposed to hear it. Let's see. Now we're agreeing with yesterday, today you should be happy. We know you hate going into battle without overwhelming odds at your side. If you're so terrified of a challenge, why not wait for your reinforcements? I don't need your heckling. I need your scouting reports, or better yet, confirmation you quelled the Oathbreakers in the Outer Valley. Oh, that. We will solve it in our own time and way. We must make at least a token effort to show them mercy after all. Mercy? You've already shat upon mercy once before. These gutter-born South Knobs deserve nothing better than death. Oh, calm down now. We must leave something to rule. Or have you forgotten Kairos' orders? Patience, old chum. I wonder if there's something I can click on that would make that screen lock scrolling. There's an issue where as new dialogue comes in, the whole thing jumps upward, but if you're trying to read something and you don't want it to be skipping around because you lose your place over and over again. Oh well. Put you back down there. So that's the voices of Nerat and Graven Ashe, just right there. Those are the two big characters that we've been hearing about so much.
That's 4 reports of avalanches in the mountains now. The Tearsmen can barely count past 9. They have neither the capacity nor the cause to close off the mountain passes. Either way, that leaves the 2nd and 4th cohort trapped outside the valley.
The Archon of War pounds his staff on the ground to punctuate his words. A large and imposing man to begin with, his profile is made larger still by his hulking suit of armor that hums with mystic energy.
Or it's the work of your perfidious Earthshakers. Only a fool would not suspect a traitorous Archon of poisoning the mind of his students with sedition. We would have killed the Earthshakers Guild for their master's treachery, but I'm sure you have some perfectly valid reason for allowing them to live as your pawns.
The Archon of Secrets passes a scepter between his hands as he speaks, twirling the rod in hypnotic circles. Emerald luminescence seeps from the seams of the Archon's ragged red robes. The glow is most noticeable where his neck ought to be. His mask seems to float and spin, never pivoting or bending naturally.
Hey, watch yourself. When these two get going, you don't want to get between them.
It's a good thing it's my job to be basically between them. Yay! Verse whispers fearfully as she beholds the Archons. So I can just clear my throat, or just interrupt, or I can wait. Let's see. Well, right, you could just come out and say it right here, and then Verse would certainly be aware of what's going on. I guess if she's going to be here, she's going to find out. I'm going to wait it out for now.
I always know you've run out of things to say when you resort to mocking my vassals. If we are to speak of treachery, why is it that my scouts see the Scarlet Chorus warriors defecting back to the Vendrian Guard? Your fearsome reputation has gone flaccid, for it seems you cannot control your soldiers, or perhaps you simply choose not to.
I feel like we could find out that some of these people that are supposedly defecting back to the Vendrian Guard are actually people who have been converted into spies, and they're now gathering secrets while pretending to have escaped back to where they are. I imagine normal members of Vendrian Guard wouldn't do such a thing, but I feel like the voices in Nerat might have a way of manipulating people and basically ruining their personalities and making them somebody who would do that kind of thing. I mean, he makes people disappear into screams and knows all their secrets, so who knows how far his powers go. My lords, the Fatebinder has arrived. The disfavored commander raises her voice, trying with little success to speak over the Archons. Perhaps we could table this discussion and let our guests speak.
Speaking of strategic failures, who was it that insisted the valley would need only a token garrison? For some strange reason, we can't seem to recall which balding halfwit grossly underestimated the enemy. Thoughts?
The Archon of Secrets twirls his scepter in a twisting loop, his leather-wrapped hands flipping the heavy rod with an effortless flow. Let's just sit here.
And I thought you had left agents within these Tearsmen when they surrendered. Either you failed to see this coming, or you knew and let it happen. Incompetent or in cahoots, either way, this mess has your filthy stink all over it.
The Archon of War lurches forward, resting his weight on his war maul as blue luminescence crackles around his armor.
We look forward to seeing you explain to Tunon why the Archon of War could not close the vice on this trivial little insurgency. When we are crowned the ruler of the Tears, we shall have this place renamed to Ashe's Folly in your honor.
The voices Nerat tosses his scepter into the air, catching it as it descends back down. So he's very animated and twisting. This guy's just sort of standing here, but he's like throwing his scepter around and his head's like floating and spinning, and he seems to be basically acting like an animated set of armor. Which makes me wonder if he's called the voices of Nerat, almost like he's plural, and people seem to imply that multiple people become the voices of Nerat. If he is getting replaced continually, like was suggested, I wonder if all of the previous voices are also in there all at once, as one weird combined entity, which would help explain why it's called such a strange title.
If I could trust the information I get from you and your conscripted mouth breathers, perhaps I'd order my cohorts around a bit more aggressively. But last time I trusted your all-clear report, my troops failed to come home.
Oh, Ashe, old boy. If you're going to have a little sob every time one of your nieces or nephews dies to the Tearsmen, perhaps we should have Siren sing you some calming lullabies to help you cope with your grief.
The Archon flips his scepter 3 times around, humming gleefully. Why does this keep showing up? You hear the voices in your head. Suit yourself, Fatebinder. The more you ignore us. Oh, he's been talking us every time? I didn't know that. Well, time to scroll up. Yay! I'm glad I can do this, by the way. I'm really happy this works. He's been talking to me. The more you... Oh, is he saying that every time? Oh, he says that every time. That's funny. Also, I did not think that that was going to be something that I'd do. Also, was Siren? Siren is the Archon of Song, the youngest Archon next to the Conqueror of Tears. Young and inexperienced, Siren is sworn to the voices of Nerat, who uses her powers and charm to manipulate it to swell the ranks of the Scarlet Chorus with volunteers. We encountered her in the prologue, I believe. So every time he flips around his scepter, he's taunting us. Or not taunting us necessarily, but pressing us to join the conversation. But I kind of just want to keep watching this squabble. It informs us about these characters and their past a bit. Also, I kind of like the idea that he's maybe slightly annoyed with us. Hold your tongue. I will not have you denigrate the honor of our our fallen brethren. The commander's hands move to the hilt of her blade. Though the weapon stays sheathed, I'd be doing us all a favor if I cracked open that excuse for a head. Would that even do anything? I genuinely don't know if that would do anything. They bicker like children, do they not? The fifth eye's grating tenor pierces the tension of the tent, and all eyes land on the crimson spear. I meant only to say welcome. Welcome to our guest, the Fatebinder. Who is the fifth eye? That's a new one. Maybe we'll learn about him. The armored retainer bows with rushed inelegance, then rises to salute. And not a moment too soon. Yeah, I feel like you don't want to say these people bicker like children in this company. Oh, gained favor with Graven, Ashe, and the disfavored. For not interrupting, I guess? Hey, we're tier 1. There's that. That helps, I suppose. Governor Guy Lovebridge, long have we been honored by your iron. Now we are honored by your presence. I must apologize to for my lord's tempers run high of late. Let's go ahead and bow. Apologies for the sudden entrance. I've traveled long to be here.
Ah, the Stormcaller. Conveniently late once more. Our eyes and ears tell us you come bearing an edict. The anticipation is killing us.
That was a weird spam. I simultaneously gain and lost favor with both factions at once, which is hard to make sense of, but I do think this is higher than it was a moment ago, whereas this is down to... I think this is higher than before, but still not tier 1. Is he talking to me again, weirdly? No, conveniently late once more. The disfavored cut a bloody swath through the realm of Stalwart by 430 TR. It was clear that the countryside had fallen, but the last of the Stalwart's regents and the ruling family would remain hidden in his massive keep at Sentinel Stand, unwilling to meet his fate in the final battle. To punish this cowardice, Kairos inflicted the Edict of Storms on the region, and you were chosen for the honor of proclaiming the mighty spell. Those present know you as the Stormcaller. Though the title is not well received by the disfavored, as it is whispered the edict had been delayed so the enemy could be warned and give the chance to surrender. That's not what happened, though. It happened because we were trying to let the civilians escape, which was also an argument presented by the Scarlet. So I'm surprised he's ripping me on that, because it was his faction that wanted me to do that. Although, unless he means conveniently late once more in a literal sense and not a sarcastic sense, which I feel like the word convenient is never used in any context other than sarcastically, though.
My soldiers tell me you helped Commander Drotus on your way through Edring. You honor the court with your selfless cooperation, for that is the sort of camaraderie that Kairos demands of us all.
So I guess it was a bit of a wasted effort to try to keep this a secret from my companion in case I was worried about the word getting out, because he's going to know regardless anyway. On the last of his words, the Archon of War glares at the voices of Nerat, furrowing his brow as he utters the word camaraderie. He's in a great mood, isn't he? Let's see. So he already knows about the edict, right? Yeah, I guess we'll just do that. I come bearing an edict of Kairos.
For the second time, Brother Tunon selects you for the glory of proclamation. You should be honored. Tell us, what has the Overlord decided to unleash upon the Oathbreakers?
So we have a lot of variety here. I can say the Overlord's loyal servants must hold Ascension Hall by Kairos' Day of Swords, or all in the valley shall perish. I can say it seems you need some encouragement to work together. Kairos' Edict will end the lives of everyone in this valley unless Ascension Hall is claimed by Kairos' Day of Swords. Or, in honor of your incompetence and disarray, the Edict will execute every living thing in this valley unless Ascension Hall is taken by Kairos' Day of Swords. So it's the same thing 3 times, but I can say it frankly, or say they have to work together, or just berate them for their failures. I think we'll go with the second one. It seems you need some encouragement to work together. We've gained wrath with the voices of Nerat and favor with Graven Ashe. Goody! The earth sways with each word you utter, the air thickening with warmth as you pronounce the tersely phrased commandment, its every syllable drafted by the hand of Kairos. With the edict proclaimed, your pulse quickens, and the muscles in your legs, worn from a long trip down the mountains, feel renewed, the tired limbs now nearly buoyant with vigor.
The Overlord means to compel us into action. No doubt the avalanches in the mountains are part of this ultimatum. We must conquer the Oathbreakers or die in failure. There is no room for error, and no other way out of this valley alive. We'll need to advance across the Matani. We lose everything if we stand still, and we move to back up Plan Green. The Earthshakers didn't make it over the mountain in time, so we do this the hard way. Over the walls instead of through.
The Archon of War taps a finger against his temple. A low rumble escapes from under his beard.
So you found your backbone at last! Oh, we were worried past humiliations would make you soft, timid. That was a record for you, right? A baker's dozen lost in one sortie. If you had waited for the chorus reinforcements, maybe we'd have eyes and ears on the matter.
The Archon of Secret passes a scepter from one hand to the next, chuckling softly with each toss. You hear the voices in your head. Watch him squirm. So many tears over replaceable, expendable, useless soldiers. I miss the old Archon of War. You'd never see blood echo in a blubbering mess over a few dead killers. He'd used the knuckle bones of his best disciples for jewelry, and even made a breastplate out of his dead brother's ribcage, because that's how a real man deals with grief. It's weird knowing that he's constantly whispering in my head, and we gotta watch for that. Did I miss any, by the way? I don't think I did. Let's see here. I can say you're wasting time. Are you daft? It is your indecision and bickering that necessitates this. Ooh, there's a subterfuge thing, too. Work together or we're doomed. What's the subterfuge one? They call you the Archon of Secrets, but you certainly don't seem to know anything remotely useful. Wow. That seems like it's going to press the conflict a little bit. Let's see. Or is it more that he's just not presenting it to him? Let's piss him off.
I second the Fatebinder. Thought you had the memories of one of those Oathbreakers rattling about that bronze gourd of yours. Would Kairos' mighty spy master please enlighten this gathering of allies with some scrap of strategic insight?
The Archon of Secrets turns his head to the side until the face of his mask is turned around and a new facet of the mask presents itself as facing forward. When the next Archon speaks, the trembling voice of a younger man can be heard. Got wrath with them. Oh, we're gonna have fun with this game. Oh, I've already got tier 2 favor. That went up fast.
Our river was to be the bulwark, but with the tidecasters slain, what hope remains? It's so cold in here. Help me, please.
That's despondent. The Archon turns his head far to the side until the previous facet of his mask now looks forward. What's this thing here? So the river they're talking about is... The use of the term Our River suggests that this is the voice of late Matani Janev, ranking member of the Vendrian Guard. The wealthy house Matani owned... The wealthy house Matani owned much of the realm of the Apex before coming to Kairos, and the coming of Kairos, and the major river in the valley bears the Matani name. So that's the face. So we captured that person, and and consumed him inside, and that's why. So he actually does just flat out consume people as they're screaming and everything, and they become a part of him, and that's why he knows their secrets, is because they're in there, because now one of them's speaking to us.
Our sources tell us the Oathbreakers had some sort of magical trick in store. But this knowledge is tinged with fear, trepidation. If we make a move for the Matani, we suspect the Oathbreakers will mount a counterattack that is equal parts valiant and futile.
That voice, who was it?
That was Matani Yanev, former noble of Apex and one of the leaders of the Vendrian Guard. Back when they were half-respectable enemies that knew how to lose with dignity. When the Guard first surrendered, Yanev presented himself to us. What he knew, we now know.
So I can test them for bickering, say work has to be done, push the disfavored to action and just ignoring the other person here. Or I can push the voices of Nerat to march. No, we are supposed to get things done. Our lives hang in the balance because you two bicker like children. Now go, solve this problem you started. We've gained wrath with both of them. I'm kind of enjoying this. My lord? Oh, did I just lose, Wait, what? The disfavored versus Graven. Oh! I've been gaining favor with Graven Ashe individually, but I'm only tier 1 with the disfavored. I'm tier 2 already with him on his own, so individuals must level up faster and that kind of stuff, which makes sense because, the faction stuff would be spread across so many separate characters. My lord, Barrick and his band have been drilled on the Echo Call assault plan. The Crescent Runners should be briefing him as we speak regarding the latest enemy movements along the river. I will dispatch him at once. The Iron Marshal salutes, clapping her gauntlet to her breastplate. And I will ensure the chorus stands ready to march. If the disfavored can take the river, the chorus has the manpower to secure the outer ring of the valley.
Our soldiers clamor for battle, and at last we shall have it. Verse, we command you to continue guarding the Fatebinder. Tunan's Chosen is our honored guest, and must be shown our finest hospitality.
I won't let you down, boss. He'll get through the campaign in one piece, as long as he doesn't do anything too stupid.
The Archon twirls the scepter one last time, then taps the fifth eye on the shoulder, and the two depart. Suit yourself, Fatebinder, the more you ignore us. What? That made more sense before, but now we're not. That's not happening anymore. Oh well.
Finally, the fool and his puppet are gone. Perhaps now I can hear myself think. Rarely do I question Kairos' judgment, but I will never understand why the voices of Nerat is given such authority. I shudder to think what will become of us all should Tunan favor him in the end. Though the Edict threatens the Scarlet Chorus just as it threatens us, I cannot shake the feeling that our allies will work against us. You've shown your worth in war, and your name has been known to the Legion since the very beginning of this long conquest. So I'd ask that you join us this one last time to help us wrap up this last objective. If you wish to be counted amongst the glorious, speak with the Iron Marshal. She will direct the order of battle until we are ready for the final push into the Citadel.
I'm short a few scouts, short a few soldiers, short a few everything. I'm sure my brethren would be grateful for the assistance of a skilled outsider. And what of the Scarlet Chorus, how will they be helping?
I ask myself that question often. While we take the river crossing, the Scarlet Chorus should be using their sizable presence to remove the Oathbreaker patrols lurking in the outer valley.
The Oathbreakers have maintained a sizable force outside the Citadel. We need the Chorus's manpower to scour the region. Otherwise, the Oathbreakers will attack at our heels once we cross the Mittani. I would be honored to help. Favor with the disfavored for just not glaring at them, basically. The Iron Marshal salutes Graven Ashe, then turns to leave the tent. I will be at the training grounds readying the soldiers. Find me there when you are ready. She pauses, clearing her throat. And, though I am loath to mention it, the Chorus can likely use your assistance. They certainly won't secure the outer valley on their own. Fifth Eye will be somewhere in that rat's nest they call a camp, due east. Seek him out if you must. So I'm interested in something. So now that you've delivered, here's exactly what I'm talking about. Is that this is coming up now? Kairos' Day of Swords. There seems to be a genuine time limit. Yeah, 8 days to Kairos' Day of Swords. So this game has a time limit then, a straight up time limit. Now that you've delivered the word of Kairos' edict to the armies, the time remaining until Kairos' Day of Swords appears next to the current date of the navigation bar. The terms of Kairos' edict must be met by this date or everyone in Vendrian's Well will die. That's a big day. That's a big deal. So that's the name of the plateau we're in right now. And didn't it take... How long did it take? Didn't it take like 8 hours just to walk here from the other area? That was kind of a big deal. I think it took us 8 hours just to get here from the previous location. So that 8 days is no small time limit. It is a small time limit, more accurately. It's no small issue that we have this time limit right now. Well, good luck us, right? Hide completed quests. So Echo Call Crossing must be taken before Kairos' forces can press their attack on Vendrian's Well Citadel, help the disfavored subdue the rebels, and take control of the crossing. The Scarlet Chorus are currently attempting to secure the outer ring of Vendrian's Well. You'll need to help them deal with the rebel forces in the area before Kairos' armies may safely march upon the Citadel. Good luck, and then of course we have the missing supplies, and probably more things we'll find along the way. This will be an undertaking.